Hello and welcome. Today we've got Spencer Murphy, who is going to be discussing the nutrition from the truther's perspective. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Spencer, thank you for joining me, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing, Nicholas?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. So what is the main message that you would like to give to the viewers from the nutritional side, perspective, if you like?
Well, first, I want to thank you. I believe that your show is a beacon of light for people around the world that are looking for, something positive to hold on to. There's a lot of negative out right now. And frankly, the positive light that you shine out to the community is amazing. I've seen a pretty significant shift in the overall energies a lot recently, but, I woke up to the Matrix in the mid 90s. So I've seen how it's evolved over the last 25, 30 years. And your show has been an amazing place to be able to find like-minded people. And that really resonates high with me. So I wanted to thank you personally because, a lot of people need help right now. And part of what I want to talk about today is healing from the inside out. And frankly, moving forward, because we know that it's especially with the narratives, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. There's a lot of truths that are going to hit the public that maybe they don't want to know about. So healers are going to be very, very important, even more so coming up soon. And what I would like to provide is some content that maybe will resonate with your audience that can help them to make it through this process with the least amount of stress as possible.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much. It means a lot. So absolutely. So where do we begin? I'm going to let you take the mic and you can tell us, because you said you've been awake now since the 90s. So maybe we can speak about that and also the nutritional side of things. So I'll let you take the mic and you can, we can go from there.
I appreciate it. So again, I woke up in the 90s. My red pill, so to speak, to the Matrix was the actual health industry or the for-profit medical industry. And in simple terms, it's follow the money. I found out really young that profit supersedes all of their priorities, and our health as a whole is going to take the back seat to that. So what I've done over the years is I've been able to pick apart the half truths, if you would even consider them to be half truths. And my perspective was always to try to debunk the half-truths or seek out what the full truth is. It's funny that you had Max and Tom on, and they referenced the publication text, which is something that Jason Q he references quite a bit also, right? Well, that's this document right here. And frankly, I'll just read this because it ties in really well with the truther perspective. Is the title of this work is simply text. For years, there have been basically two sets of books kept on the planet Earth. The set for the elite were called the textbooks, and they contained truth. The set of books of ordinary people were known as X texts, which means bad text or text filled with disinformation and propaganda, with just a tiny bit of real truth to give some sense of credibility, right? Well, that's our life. That's everything. So, talking about nutrition and supplementation, most of what we've been taught is X text. It's a small amount of good information with a lot of disinformation. And you can look at the food pyramid as being a primary example of, what's been put out to the public, but is very misleading, right? The top of the food pyramid is fats, which is one of the primary sources of fuel in your system. And at the bottom is carbohydrates. Well, there's a thing about fats and carbohydrates and how the body works. And this is part of what I was explaining to John Baxter on the phone a couple of days ago was when you are in oxygen enriched environment, essentially when we're just sitting here having this conversation right now, we're supposed to be utilizing fat as a fuel source.
Mm-hmm.
When we're breathing hard or we're in an anaerobic state, we're supposed to be utilizing carbohydrates. Well, if you look at the food pyramid, they put fat all the way at the top, meaning that it's the least important. Well, most of your day, you're not consuming carbohydrates because you're not supposed to be consuming carbohydrates because you're not in an oxygen deprived state. So if we're flooded with oxygen, then we should be burning fat as our primary fuel source. So that alone is pretty misleading to the public. Essentially, you should actually flip those two upside down. So if flip the food pyramid upside down, where fat being the primary source of calories and carbohydrates being less or the least, and that's because we're not oxygen deprived very often. So if you were going to work out for an hour a day, then you have 23 hours of not working out. And therefore, you're in an oxygen enriched environment for 23 hours of the day. And primary source of fuel should be fats. That 1 hour a day, if you're getting your heart rate up, you should be utilizing carbohydrates. And therefore, the food pyramid, like I said, if you flipped it upside down and fats were at the bottom, which is at the larger portion, and carbohydrates were the smaller portion, you have 23 hours versus 1. Does that make sense?
It does. Can you explain why? You're saying the fats are important for our body more than carbohydrates, yes?
Well, I think all of them are important. It just depends on how you're planning on utilizing them. So from my perspective on nutrition, this is how I go about my day, okay? So if I'm planning on doing something like what we're doing now, I eat good fats, moderate amounts of protein, usually white meat or less dense meat, and a significant amount of green leafy vegetables. And you'll see through here, like my foundation is actually green leafy vegetables. So I'm fueling my body for the environment that I'm going to put it into. When I work out, I will flood my system with carbohydrates before I work out because I want to be able to fuel that workout where I'm oxygen deprived. I'm also triggering a central nervous system response, which is a sympathetic response, your fight flight, going into the workout. When you're done working out and you go into that recovery state, you're shifting back over to the rest and digest state of your central nervous system, which is your parasympathetic response. And that's when you're going to recover. So you have two primary things to look at from the central nervous system and how to basically go about the day. Rest and digest versus fight flight. So my workout is a fight flight. Our bodies trigger all the right mechanisms to be able to essentially be able to run from a bear or fight it. That's our primal instincts. The workout is our fight. And then post-workout, when I'm in that rest and digest state, I want to be able to just chill, right? So I actually do my carbohydrates and a small amount of pre-digested protein before I work out so that I'm essentially priming the pump for the workout. And then I'm priming the pump for the recovery. And then I'm not consuming anything afterwards because I don't want to pull myself out of that recovery state. I eat. And then later on in the day is when I consume most of my more dense meat with mostly greens, because you want to be in a really, really, really deep really deep, calm state in order to digest protein because it's very heavy. And actually, Master Lama Raji spoke about that in your video that you had published yesterday about changing your food patterns and whatnot. Well, fats are really good for you. Carbohydrates are really good for you. Protein's really good for you. The greens are going to be all the essential micronutrients that most people are missing. And pairing your food or preparing your food for the activities that you're going to go into can help reduce a lot of the stressors that our bodies go through on a daily basis. So I'm super excited to actually get my hands on the anti-aging bed cover that John Baxter's been talking about and his pineal sauce. And if you remind me, I'll talk about the pineal sauce too and what intrigues me there. But essentially with John Baxter's technology, you're plugging your bed into the ground, into the earth. You're matching the Schumann resonance, which is just above 7 megahertz or 7 hertz. Well, you're putting your body into a potential state of maximum recovery or maximum rest and digest state because you're not fighting off all the EMF toxins, right? Or the environmental toxins for that. Well, my perspective is if we're sleeping for 8 hours a day, well, then there's 16 other hours in the day that we should be focusing on doing things to help alleviate or reduce stress in the body. Food is a phenomenal way to be able to either increase stress or reduce it. So I want to provide some content for people to maybe just think about it a little bit differently, because essentially we've been told all this text information all these years. And if we just look at the basics, like how do our bodies function? Well, the central nervous system tells us to do everything autonomously. Mm-hmm. Well, we can trigger certain responses within our system with food. And if we know how to do it, then we can help to reduce stress and increase recovery throughout the day.
Do you just want to let the viewers know that when you are speaking, when you refer to fats, mm-hmm. and you say fats are good for us, some people may mistake that and think, oh, sugar, chocolate, toffee, sweets. We have to let them know that when you're speaking about fats, you actually mean oils, avocado, that kind of thing. So nuts are good fats. They're good fats. So do you just want to tell us that? Because some people are not aware of that.
Well, I would suggest, for people that are confused about it, it's easy. Go on DuckDuckGo or Brave or whatever search engine that you have and look up, like, what are common good fats? What are common good carbohydrates, common good proteins? And that'll give people a pretty good understanding of what falls into what category. Like you're talking about with maybe somebody thinks that candy would be considered fat. Well, that's mostly sugar. And again, it's perception on the text perspective of if you eat fat, you're going to get fat. Well, the missing link that nobody talks about is the sugar that's combined with the fat, and how you pair those together tend to be the reason why people get fat eating fat, because the sugar throws your system off, insulin spikes, you trigger a sympathetic response, which is your fight flight response. You go fight, which is you're priming the pump, right? And you can see this in children quite a bit. And this is something that if you want to reference it and look, you can see really easily. So you give a kid a piece of candy, they get really hyper, right? So that's the fight response. Then the flight is the anxiety. They start to whine, they start to complain, they want to do something, they don't do it, and it's kind of a mess. Well, then from those two, you shift down into the freeze, which is when your body stores, and that's why people get tired after consuming a lot of carbohydrates if they don't go and do something active. So you go fight, flight, freeze. You can see it, give children candy on Halloween and it's instant, right? They're going to be hyper, they're going to get some anxiety, and then they're going to get tired. Well, we do the same thing every day. And if you look at the way that the food pyramid is set up, most people are eating a lot of carbohydrates. They're eating minimal fat, or, they're pairing their fat with their carbohydrate, maybe a little bit, the ratios are a little bit off, and moderate protein, right? So we're eating the way that essentially the deep state, Monsanto, who created the food pyramid, are telling us to eat. And I personally believe that it's intended in order to lower our vibration, frankly. So,
mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So let's go into the contents that you said you wanted to provide.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about, because, John mentioned the oxidative stress, or the doctors mentioned oxidative stress. So I'm going to give you the Webster's Dictionary of oxidative stress. It is physiological stress on the body that is caused by the cumulative damage done by free radicals, inadequately neutralized by antioxidants, and that is held to be associated with aging. right? So a lot of the same key phrases that John and his team spoke about in the videos that you guys have done. So I'm here and I want to talk to you guys about X Endurance products because I believe that is a missing link that a lot of people are looking for. And really the feedback that you guys got with John's interviews from my take have been amazing. So I've got 3 products that I want to talk about. I put them on the board. They're sitting right here. So the first one is Essential. Now, Essentials, this white bag with the gold. Essential is a product that we've had for a long time. We actually just renamed it to Essential because prior it was called Extreme Endurance. And anybody that's listening that's heard of that product will know, especially from the fitness community. We've had a lot of really good success within the distance training, Olympic athletes, CrossFit athletes, and there's so many different people that have had a lot of really good success with our products over the years. But it was really hard to be able to explain to a soccer mom why extreme endurance was something that they might want to take. So we renamed it Essential. And the reason why we did that is because we've got a lot of science backing it for the health, not performance. So we have a clinical study that was done a couple years ago at the University of Louisiana Lafayette by Dr. Ballard, where we had, it was a third-party, double-blind, placebo-controlled study where Essential reduced oxidative stress by 39% in 10 days. So the med beds, the harmonic healing technology that that John Baxter and those doctors spoke about in helping to reduce oxidative stress. Well, I have a product that's been proven to reduce oxidative stress by 39% in less than 2 weeks, which is huge. It's massive.
Wow. Right.
Increased cardiovascular health, increased VO2 max, which your VO2 max is essentially how your body will utilize oxygen in its system. Helps to maintain a balanced body alkalinity, AKA homeostasis, which has also been referenced by the doctors last week. And without going super crazy into the science behind it, I've been using the product for 10 years. And I can tell personally that it's just continued to become more efficient within my system over those 10 years. It's a phenomenal support for being able to buffer all the free radicals that are coming into your system throughout the day, a lot of the environmental toxins that we come into contact with. And frankly, I've never seen any other product on the world that even comes close to it for rest, recovery, and all the good stuff that people are looking for. And hopefully that resonates with some people because, if you're active for 16 hours of the day, you're going to want to make sure that you're helping to reduce the amount of stress that your body goes through that time frame. So do you have any questions on that before I move to the other one? So
what's it made of? What's the Essentials, product? What does it have in it? What's the ingredients?
So it's a proprietary, and I know a lot of people don't like the proprietary stuff. We list all the ingredients. We just don't tell everybody exactly what the dosages are. But it's some good nutrients. It's got calcium carbonate, which is an acid buffer or free radical buffer. And then it will actually break down in your small intestines. There's black pepper fruit inside of the product. And most don't know that black pepper fruit can actually work as a really good magnifier for other ingredients that you put into products. So I've seen some research that suggests that when you add black pepper fruit, you have the potential of being able to increase the other ingredients by up to 3,000 times. So we put black pepper fruit into it. Essentially what it does is it will stimulate more blood flow to your intestines so that those other ingredients are absorbed a lot more efficiently.
Right. Okay. Is that the only item that you recommend people to?
there's three of them that I wanted to talk to. It's called our daily foundations. And the reason why I picked the three is because I believe that it'll resonate with a lot of people, especially with what's been going on with the lockdowns and the pandemic and all that stuff, because of the ingredients that are in there and how they affect your immune system. I mean, your immune system starts in your gut. Your gut health is super important. Micronutrients are extremely important. Macronutrients, I personally believe, are more important just because most people will neglect them. Eating vegetables is not very common for most folks. So lacking in the macronutrients, if you think of it, like we're given one vessel at a time, right? So this is our vessel, right? We're given one vessel. It's like if you were given one car in your life and that's all you got, how would you take care of it? I mean, you'd want to keep it immaculate, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, from my perspective, you would say those would be like the fuel that you add to the tank for your vessel to be able to go down the road. Well, the micronutrients, your greens and all the stuff that are generally lacking would be all the lubricants and the brake pads and all the things that make that vessel go down the road smoothly. And that's where people neglect in their nutrition the most from what I've seen. So the second product that I wanted to talk about is our Immune Boost, which is the multivitamin that we have. There's over 40 ingredients in there. 26 of the ingredients actually score at the highest that you can get for antioxidant ratings. 2 of the ingredients are proven, or the data suggests that you can reduce or stop the effects of blue light damage to your eyes from staring at screens all day. For anybody in the truther community that stares at their screen all day, it's important to have that in there, which is lutein and zeaxanthin. And then really just from the vitamin and mineral perspective, the minerals that we use are chelated minerals or chelated minerals. Chelated minerals are really small, and you pair an essential amino acid with it so that when your body sees the amino acid, it'll actually take the mineral in with it. So the bioavailability, or how well your body absorbs it, is really high. We've got, in the Immune Boost, I wanted to touch on that zinc. We have 15 milligrams of zinc, which is a zinc amino acid chelate. It's 136% of the recommended daily value, or recommended daily value. And part of the protocols that we've seen for the virus, zinc has been a very big part of it. I personally make the grapefruit, lemon, and I've actually added orange peels to a tea that I make, which grapefruit is actually the reason why it's been pushed around into the truther community is grapefruit's really high in quinine. Quinine is what HCQ is made from.
Right.
So, it doesn't have HCQ in it. It's quinine plus a whole bunch of other minerals and vitamins and stuff that's really good. Okay. The third one that I wanted to talk about is our omega plus D3, right? So what have we seen from the data for people that have died from the virus is pretty much across the board. The data that I've seen when they tested it is their vitamin D3 is almost non-existent, right? So getting good vitamin D is important. Well, Master Lama Raji spoke about getting it from the sun. And I do that every morning. I go outside, I take my shoes off, I put my feet in the grass, and I meet the sun as it comes up. It's a good way to be able to set your circadian rhythm for the day. You get those good ions from the ground, you're touching in with all that Schumann resonance, and it's really just setting a good pathway for the day. It also triggers the receptors in your eyes to be able to tell your system to start absorbing D3 through the day. Okay, so when you spoke about not wearing your sunglasses, that's really important to do that at least for portions of the time that you're outside so that you can trigger your body to be able to start all those good functions. So in our omega plus D3, we've got 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA. The fish oil is actually in a triglyceride form, which is not as common as people think. Most fish oil is ethyl esters, and ethyl esters are man-made. They're synthetic. That you don't find them in nature. So most fish oils are combined, genetically engineered products. Ours actually comes from fish. So it's really clean, really good fish oil. And then we have 4,000 IUs of pharmaceutical grade D3 in there as well. So if you're stuck indoors all day, if you're in a cubicle, if don't have access to being able to go outside and do what Master Lama Raji spoke about, then getting it from a supplement, especially when it's coming from a good, clean source, is really important to just be able to have a good foundation for, health and wellness throughout the day.
Absolutely. Wow. Sounds amazing. I'm sure many people out there who know what the ingredients are about and how it can help us. So how can people have access to this?
So in the United States, what we've set up is, and I'll provide the website. It's xendurance.com. And I'll give it to you when we're finished as well, if you want to have a copy of it. If somebody wants to try out the products, we've put together a 15% off code. You could just use my name. So anybody that wants to try those products or anything that we have on our website, which we have a full lineup of really amazing products, type in my name and you'll get a 15% discount. This Daily Foundations bundle that we have, it takes about $25 off of that, which is a really, really good deal. And then to be frank, my personal approach to all this is over the years, I've been able to build a lot of skill sets, and health and wellness, nutrition, exercise, that stuff that I've really been involved with for the last 8, 9, 10 years. Prior to that, I was a college athlete, and, long story of how I got to where I'm at right now. But I have some unique knowledge that I believe that will really, really help the community to be able to, get to that higher level of consciousness that we're all trying to get to. And frankly, besides the products, which obviously you can order that and whatnot, but most of all of the other content that I have, I want to just be able to provide it for free to anybody that would like to learn. Because collectively, we all need to get to a higher level of consciousness, and the more people that are resonating at a higher level, the quicker we'll get there. So, it's for personal, because I want this to go faster, just like everybody does. But in the long run, I just believe that the information that I can provide to people is if it resonates with them, I believe it can be very, very helpful. Okay.
Well, Spencer, thank you very, very much for that. If you send me the link, I'll gladly put it in the description below so that people can check it out and even contact you and ask you questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yeah, I would like to. So we get another opportunity. It'd be fun to dive into more of this at another date if possible. But notes that I wanted to be able to give the listeners is, so at X Endurance, our primary focus is to help with overall health, which is going to be exercise, whole foods, meditation, sleep, and supplementation. We have a free app that we've developed. On that free app, we've got an in-motion program, which is you do 21 days of any type of in-motion movement. It's a good free way to be able to hold yourself accountable, but also to be able to get involved with more people that are like-minded that also want to move their body and feel better and get those fluids moving and just be part of a really good community. Built into the app, we've got a brain game. So it's our focus game. So if you do the focus game and you get a high enough score, then you can actually put in your information and the company will send you some free samples of our focus product, which is pretty amazing because none of our products have the nasty, crazy artificial ingredients, which is something that people need to be really mindful about. And if I've got a little bit of time, I'd like to just briefly cover what one of them is so that people have an understanding of how potentially sketchy the artificial stuff really is. But our focus product is amazing for anybody that has energy drinks or pre-workouts or wants to get away from coffee. It's phenomenal. And I'd love to be able to have time to go over that on another time. But essentially, we've developed a community of people that are like-minded. We want to help people live healthier, longer. Most of the stuff that we provide is free. We want the community and the people around us to have a better life. And it's just, I mean, really, like, we resonate with the same type of folks that are your audience. It's people that care about their health. They care about what's going on. They don't want to be misled anymore. And we just want to be able to provide a good place for folks that resonate with it, a place to be able to have some really good success. Do I have a second to go over the?
Please do. We are running out of time. So.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. So I wanted to talk about sucralose, right? So sucralose is a chlorinated sugar. So back in the 70s, when sucralose was created, it was actually intended on being an insecticide first. Okay. So if you look at most ingredients, most processed foods, sucralose is a big part of that. It's a sweetener. So they took sugar, added some other ingredients into it. But what I did was I went into the patents of sucralose to figure out what they used to make it. So there are 9 ingredients to make sucralose, and 8 of them have been listed to be very dangerous for human beings, right? They were listed as they're industrial for the most part. So which one was it? So let me just read you one of them real quick. So one of the ingredients in sucralose for humans are uniquely sensitive to methanol poisoning. Nearly all of the available information on methanol toxin or toxicity in humans relates to consciousness of acute rather than chronic exposure. A vast majority of poisonings involving methanol have occurred from drinking adulterated beverages and so on and so forth. So basically, drinking this ingredient can cause problems with your central nervous system, potential death, and so on and so forth. And 8 of the 9 ingredients in sucralose have very similar warnings to them. So, with what we do at X Endurance, so we started in the mid-90s. We've been making pharmaceutical grade vitamins for the medical community in Europe this whole time. We don't use artificial ingredients. Part of it, big reason right there, what I just explained a little bit of. But our primary goal is to always take that high road, right? We will sacrifice profit to make sure that we put the cleanest and most bioavailable ingredients into all of our products so that we're providing the general public what they actually think they're spending their money on. The supplement industry is just as corrupt as any other industry out there. You're going to have a lot of people that are selling snake oil and artificial ingredients and tell you a pipe dream about how it's going to affect you. But in a lot of cases, they're just selling you on an idea. So we like to take things a lot further. We like to have our products tested. We've got a lot of really good content out there. And really, it's just being able to get that information out to the public that there are resources other than going to your normal traditional vitamin store to get stuff that may help you health, fitness, ascension, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Well, Spencer, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I will leave the link below in the description so that people can have a look. Thank you, and we'll speak again very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.